in climate change mitigation and adaptation.
And when we say cost benefits, it implies also the cost of not doing it.
Yeah. That's the cost benefit. Yeah. Also, as well as the absence of such an approach.
Yes, can this be added to F, to the old F?
Okay, let's look at F, the old F.
Because it has like including research into gender consumption patterns, coping capacities, and resource management, establish holistic requirements, etc., etc. So it will be another way of learning.
That's another research area. Yeah. Perfect.
Anything else that we've missed out that you have?
Which isn't legislative, because that's a separate,
Before established.
establish a holistic requirement. There it should come.
Like research before establishment.
I think the carbon credits are already in this one. Yeah. So that's already covered. The planning is indirectly covered.
But by the
notification, by the Northern perspective.
This is part of the same thing, isn't it? It's more directly addressing the ministries and things.
The UN's Gender Mainstreaming Initiative.
It's already
It's there. Oh, it is there. For the ACRA. Text. Yeah, that's right.
And this is also presumably in the north?
Yeah.
That we got something with that?
Oh, maybe we can include that in the northern paragraph.
Women's participation, energy, and mitigation policies and choices.
Gender perspective and women's participation. Yeah. Okay. And we can.
This sentence is get.
I'm wondering whether we should kind of ask for good practice principles to be developed.
Back to the research section?
No,
It's
a mixture. Yeah, it's not just. I mean, it's like when you do your impact analysis, you're looking at what has worked, what not. But you do it for your organization. So how can we get this information together? So we end up with good practice principles, things that do work. Like the example of this simple example of the stove, the cooking stove. What works? What really helps? And how do we?
So as a new Can you reformulate it? Try to reformulate it?
Well, I hadn't formulated it yet. Develop good practice principles. We need to say who used to do it on for gender responsive adaptation mitigation strategies.
Some kind of evaluation.
Yeah, I mean, it will be a result. It's like really urging everybody who's involved in the sector, whether it's CSOs, whether it's national governments or donors, really to commit to saying, okay, what works? What is good practice? And how can we come?
Is it a follow-up to number the old I, which is gender sensitive criteria, and then a next step after criteria is the good practice. What did you say? The good practice principles.
If you add it there, it's a little bit like it becomes an institutional issue. I would much rather see it as a joint initiative because it gains by really various organizations, whether it's Oxfam, whether it's GTZ, whether it's the Philippine government, of bringing this knowledge together, because that will help us to move.
Should we say as a joint initiative of different stakeholders develop good practice principles?
It has to help, different stakeholders, and then put a question mark. It has to be discussed where the home is, because somebody has to take it up as an activity. It doesn't happen by itself. Somebody has to be mandated to work on this, and
As a joint initiative, the jointness.
But you see, it has to have a home. It's like a database. If it doesn't have a home, it's not going to be there. So I don't know who the home could be. I'm not familiar.
We're running low on energy right now. I think we're getting there, and also to acknowledge that we don't have a full responsibility for this. It's a joint effort with everybody else. So we put in some ideas, others will put in other ideas. So we mustn't despair. Everyone's a bit tired.
Okay, sorry. We have also a sentence. So underscoring the well-documented, that's in the combination. It's a combination of two elements. Yeah.
On that bit.
Yeah. Underscoring the well-documented evidence that women are powerful leaders and agents for change, and women actually and potentially play vital roles in mitigating and adapting to climate change, as well as in disaster risk reduction, preparedness and management. Then comes the example. Okay, we will try to, yeah, thank you. Okay, I think we've
Exhausted us.
ourselves, but we've already also done very well, I think so. Not only sharing experiences and knowing far better what we are doing and how we are working on different elements in our respective countries, but in our regions, but also coming to some understanding of what is needed, what are the priorities, what is already there. Thank you for that. And we have our comments on the declaration. So I'd like to, on behalf also of myself, you can say something. I don't have anything more to say.
Before you say that really final closing word, something who sentences say
Okay.
what I was saying in the first plenum, so that our government has now established